Hey lads, it's Natalie. Let's get to the chase. It's been a year already, which that's crazy. Like, I've been doing this for a year. It's been a grand time. Fun games, fun guests, fun videos, so forth. And like, exactly a year ago, due to a massive fumble on my part, my prior channel had been deleted when I'd been working on it about a year on its own. And just for future reference, I'm gonna call this the Great Deletion. It's like an extinction event, man. Like, but just like, you know, same amount of videos as this channel, but way less subscribers. A lot less people gave a shit. About like 30 tops, which that's crazy. Like the improvement. Like I'm so grateful that I've been able to retain some sort of viewing, especially to like this much of a larger degree. Like, I'm surprised enough that I was able to keep myself to continue pushing with content. But I was considering just giving up, but I think it was worth it. Like, there's a lot of people who would say like, oh, in the grand scheme of things, 124 isn't that many people, which, I mean, yeah, true, but think about it. That's 124 people. Even if some are close friends watching out of pure obligation or random people watching out of pity, that's still 124 people, which is the most I've ever gotten, ever. And for that, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep making content for you guys, and also for me, guys, because it's fun. I don't like this like serious somber junk, but thank you, legitimately, all of you.
Now on to this video.
This is like a minor celebration of the year that's passed, and you know, I'll be talking a bit about every video I've released since 2024, November 2024. Sharing some of my personal thoughts, handing out some fun trivia, and you know, just sharing some of my favorite clips. Then at the end, I'll also talk about like scrapped videos or something, and then at the end, I'll do a Q&A. Ain't that neat? Regardless, yeah. My first venture back into content creation. It was a rough time for me. The video was recorded about a week after the Great Deletion, and then released 2 weeks after that, and it's fine. Like, it's a decent video, and it's a pretty good rebound from the deletion, all things considered, but like, I don't like the fact that the intro is just me talking over the main menu. That's some lazy shit. The fun fact, originally this was meant to be live streamed, and later, after the aforementioned attempts to live stream went south, I was going to make this into like a series, and it was going to be like I'd alternate between it and Max Mode Chronicles, but I ended up changing my mind, because I don't want to dedicate that much time to trying to do a single challenge in a single game. That pisses me off to that extent. Frankly, gotta thank Siren for that, because him gifting the Akamanto is what ended up making me fully change gears regarding the direction of the channel. Ultimately for the better. Gonna cover these two together, as they're recorded in a pair about a week prior to the release of INKY on the 21st and 22nd of November, and then released on the 13th of December and the 1st of January, respectively. Both videos took about 3 hours each to record, and generally were some of the best experiences I've had doing videos. Like, although somewhat like INKY, these intros are stupid. These ones are they're blocks of text. What were you thinking? I have a handful of fun facts. First off, the chances of me surviving the power outage in my winning 420 attempt were about 0.06. That's nutty. At the time, it was the hardest thing I've ever done regarding a FNAF Max Mode. This, like, update thing has happened every time with a new video of Max Mode Chronicles. Moving on to MC3. During the video, we made frequent reference to Minigame Mod, which you might be familiar with if you watched my old channel, because I made a video on it. But, you know, the Great Deletion. But Minigame Mod is like a FNAF mod created by my pals, Luis and Julio. I mean, based around FNAF, obviously. Mostly the FNAF 3 minigames, which is why we reference it so much. On that note, when I first loaded into like one of the end of night minigames in MC3, we mentioned Ursidae, a song that in minigame mod hadn't been publicly confirmed to exist yet. This is consistent. I leak minigame mod a lot more frequently than I should. And finally, MMC2. What's the deal with that? In the words of Louis Lemons, 2 has the worst, most doo-doo RNG known to man. Recorded on January 1st and released on the 16th, Running from Red is my second favorite video to date, only beaten by the video preceding. This is what I consider like the first titular Nataliejeen video. It's just generally one of the best pieces of content I've ever made in my several years on the internet. The fun fact is that throughout the recording, I thought Akamanta was a girl, and that Chilla's art was also a girl, when in reality the former is a male spirit, and the latter is a pair of brothers. I can't really explain the former, but the latter is because I thought Chilla was their name, and I thought like, I guess I thought that sounded more feminine. I think in reality their name comes from the fact that the mascot is a chinchilla. I don't know, man. I never considered Chilla's art could be a dude's. Maybe I'm a bad person.
Hello? Who is it? Best video? Objectively.
Recorded on my birthday and released February 9th. The fun fact is that this was recorded on my birthday and released on February 9th. As said, I think this is my best video, in every regard. Amazing intro, amazing midtro, there wasn't an outro, so forth. The actual fun fact is that originally, this video wasn't going to start with the Chud Jack video. In all reality, I don't actually remember what it was going to be, just that it wasn't going to be that. I saw the video in a Discord server and changed gears instantly. For the better, in fact, because the declaration that Chud Jack animation memes were disturbing enough to be on par with the mutilation of a corpse really just took the video to a different caliber. It also introduced Cathard, so,
Hi, Cathard.
Next up, follow the path. To date, this is the video with the shortest production time, as it was recorded, scripted, voiced, edited, uploaded, and published all within 5 hours, about 12 to 5 in the morning of February 23rd. And for the fun fact, the intro was done in a single take. I was gonna go further, but after hearing how oddly frightened I sounded in the VO, I figured it'd be funnier just to use the initial take. Also, the only reason the video lacked any guests was because I was told that I could only play the game if I had my internet turned off, so... lol. Also, the Ollie in the thumbnail was taken from a completely unrelated art piece that Casper happened to have made within the 5-hour period, so yay! Next up, Maxwell Chronicles 4, which is to date the video with the longest production time, as it was recorded, scripted, voiced, edited, uploaded, and published all within 3 months, from December 18th to March 23rd, only beaten by its currently unreleased successor, MMC5. It is also the only released video that took more than a single session to beat, taking about 7, ranging from December 18th to January 17th. I have a pair of fun facts, the former being that MMC4 had the largest number of people involved to date, with 11 people overall, being myself, Lewis, Josh, Marilyn, Cosmic Coolio, Mater, Randy, Amelia, Casper, and Nova. Granted, this is counting even the most, minute of input in any regard, but second place is God is Coming with 6, so shrug. Latter fact is in regards to the fart section. The video claims it to be 10 minutes, while in reality it was about 20. I'm not sure why we got so sidetracked, but I do know that for the first month or so of editing, I was going to keep the full section in the video completely uncut. But upon showing the work in progress to various friends, most of them were just uncomfortable the entire time. So I decided to remove most of it to maintain the video's already faltering integrity. This video is so odd. Recorded March 12th and released March 25th, Long Live the King is tied for what I consider my worst video, which is rather unfortunate. Like, the gameplay section, it's fine. Kind of scuffed, but it's fine. What I really butchered was the intro, but regardless, it still holds a place in my heart because it's nutty that I, Nataliejeen, of all people, was emailed by a game developer to beta test his game, and at only 100 subscribers at the time? That's crazy! Yeah. Is the game a copy of the Squirrel Stapler? Most likely. Is the game good? Jury's out on that one. Was I near the only one contacted? Nope, not at all. But frankly, I'm happy I agreed to it. And if any game dev, including Mound Peak, happened to get in contact for the beta test, I would sign up in a heartbeat. Please email me! Please email me about the games! I want to play more games. It makes me feel important. Regardless, fun fact, the rabbit in the thumbnail is traced over a stock image. I don't know, there's not a whole lot of extra tidbits outside of I'd remake most of this if it mattered. This just in! My boyfriend is yelling and screaming at me to include a fun fact. He likes drawing rabbits.
Yay.
Now, not but one compilation ago, I implied that there were 2 videos fighting to be my least favorite. This would be the other one. But generally I think it's higher quality. Like, I think the intro is borderline perfect, one of the best I've ever made. And while the gameplay section is nearly unbearable to listen to, it does fit the nature of the video. So, recorded February 20th, 3 days before Follow the Path, and released 2 whole months later on April 1st, is obviously the April Fool's upload. It didn't take that long to edit, actually, as it was uploaded and prepared by the beginning of March. Now, the kicker. Why Chopgoblins? Well, I felt that it was an appropriate follow-up to the joke made in God is Coming, where I claimed that Chopgoblins was the best game ever conceived, which, I mean, it is, but I digress. The decision to make the actual game be Iron Lung was simple, as it was the only other game by Szymanski that I owned yet had never played. The fun facts are fairly simple. Originally, the video was going to have an alternate title and thumbnail. The former would have been either The Quiet Rapture or Ocean of Blood, and the latter would have likely been an external view of the submarine within the monster visible, or Gene reacting to the photograph taken of the monster's eye partway through. The idea in general was scrapped as to avoid needless extra work on Randy's part, and because the fake-out title and the thumbnail were silly. It was unnecessary change, especially since they featured Gene's former primary outfit due to when it was drawn, and because it was drawn traditional using crayons. Neat. I'm very conflicted on this one. Recorded July 31st and released August 5th. Bit of a gap. Yeah? Admittedly, this was very rushed, mostly because between this and Choplins, there were 3 separate videos on the chopping block, 2 of which ended up getting scrapped, and the 3rd is kind of in perpetual hell. So I was kind of desperate to keep my barely relevant relevance. Not much to the loss of the video, it's fine, I suppose. Fun fact. After uploading, Lewis ended up telling me that he didn't actually realize I was recording, mostly because of how tired he was. Also, the gameplay and voiceover in the intro were my real-time reaction to playing that number matching thing. Granted, I was hashing the confusion a bit up for comedic effect, but I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I don't get that game. A few of you may be wondering if I'll talk about any other videos on the channel. I will. I mentioned that in the intro. But I gotta be brief. There's a lot of them, so let's run them down real quick. Fourth Times the Charm was the first ever upload, made the same night of the Great Deletion. It was a simple update video for the lads that cared, but it's since been unlisted. Following the Great Deletion, I had to re-upload every video relating to Untitled Gene Mod, resulting in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th videos overall. Although for the most part, it's all either outdated or joke content, so pay it little mind. Next are the Gene Archives, which were the final video meant to recuperate from the loss of the Great Deletion. The title itself is rather self-explanatory, as it contains nearly every clip I could find from the old channel for released and scrapped content alike. Released shortly after the upload of MMC3 is my current channel trailer, which notably included clips from the at the time unreleased MMC4 and the currently scrapped Five Nights at 39 MMC special. More on that later. A pair of fun details, the primary still used throughout is clearly based on He Who Made the Mimic, and the little creature is thusly referred to as JN squared. Ugh. Shortly after the release of Running from Red, specifically directly after I beat FNAF 4, I uploaded a trio of unedited videos showing my winning runs for 420, Aggressive Nightmare, and 2020-2020 for the first 3 Max Mode Chronicles. This was originally with the intent to connect them to my name on the Max Mode list, but they only accept records for the top 150 positions or so. And with my stellar positions in the 400s to 500s, if I recall correctly, I was promptly denied, but I decided to leave them up just as a show of good faith. Like, yeah guys, I beat these. Released after my 2 big hits is my 100 subscriber special, which notably marked the adoption of a newer primary design for my Sona, along with a new cacophony of character stills and other channel assets. It's also the only non-mainline video, outside of anything released prior to God Is Coming, to feature this one little silly thing happening with the music that I'm not going to mention what that silly thing is. That silly thing is also in this video, but shut up. Shut up. I made this on a whim the night before uploading MMC4 entirely because I was just like, I was genuinely listening to Girl You Need a Shot of B12 while grinding out towers as Omni-Man in Mortal Kombat 1. I don't remember why I uploaded this, but it's enlisted now. Released about a month ago, this was the first in a likely rarely occurrent series of shorts that are mostly meant to fill in gaps between larger uploads, but also because some of these games are unsuiting for full-length videos. Who would genuinely want to listen to me talk about a single level in a Doom expansion for 20 minutes? Now for scrapped videos, starting with the Reginald Percent, which was the only video out of the handful I was working on when the Great Deletion occurred that I continued to work on. It's also the only one I mentioned in 4th Time's the Charm, although it was later scrapped on around when I started MMC. The entire point of the video was just like a challenge run of Subnautica where I'd have to like constantly be holding Reginald. I did beat it. And I also have this stellar time capsule from it. Next is the aforementioned scrapped MMC entry for Five Nights with 39, which was originally planned to be the April Fool's upload. Although I scrapped it after being unable to beat 225 mode and just like, I wasn't really happy with the recording or like wanting to use it for April Fools. I did beat 220 though. That was neat. Shortly after the release of God Is Coming, I held a poll that would supposedly decide one of my upcoming videos. The options were Slender the Arrival, Duck Season VR, or Spooky Jump Scare Mansion VR. The winner was Duck Season, although I wouldn't get around to it until after the release of CHOPLINS. Much to my own dismay, OBS glitched out and didn't get anything of myself or my guests, resulting in an unfortunate yet easy cancellation. This one actually made it fairly far into production, getting a fully edited intro and about a third of the footage done, but at a point I just wasn't happy with how it was all going, and I felt comfortable leaving it as a fun and nostalgic experience instead of forcing it out into a full-length video. The intro will be linked in the description if anyone is curious, though. Then there's the handful of videos I've mentioned or alluded to precisely once. Notably, the 123 Slaughter Me Street Marathon, Max Mode Chronicles Baby's Nightmare Circus, a follow-up to Follow the Path, and then the aforementioned Slender and Spooky, all of which are happening, excluding the Follow the Path follow-up. As for the time being, I think Out of the Ink Machine is cancelled. I'm not really sure, but most likely. Its successor, mostly referred to as Nostalgia is Sin, will not be happening for further notice. Each of the other 4 will happen in some way, although the Slender video may also feature Slender the 8 Pages, and the Spooky video will no longer be in VR, for reasons I will discuss in that video when I get to it. And that's it. That's every video released this year. Happy first year, lads! There are 2 videos I didn't fully talk about, mostly because while they were started this year, they simply just weren't finished in time. But they are set in stone as the first 2 uploads for year 2. They are Batman Arkham Asylum and Sister Location. I was originally going to try to squeeze in the Batman video before this, but I didn't want to rush myself. Like, I wanted to maintain quality on this and the Batman video as much as I could, so you get to wait. Last thing to mention is the thumbnail, made personally by my wonderful boyfriend Randy, who, as you may know, is the primary artist for the channel, responsible for the PFP, the banner, these backgrounds, the Gene stills, the Cathode stills, nearly every thumbnail, and as part of the celebration, he put together this wonderful anniversary setup featuring a bunch of the baddies from throughout the year. If you're curious about the drawing process, he'll be uploading a speed paint on his channel, which I will link below. And with that, Cathode, bring out the questions!
Can we remove any space? You remember say more.
Is that really it? Oh. Oh.
Look, this is supposed to come on the 8th. I bungled the deadline. Don't kill me.